你们可以听到我吗？
可以。
Thank you。OK 谢谢大家再回到来这个我们今天的 Session 2。刚才早上我们已经完成了 Session 1，现在接下来就是 Session 2。所以在 Session 2里面呢，我会给大家看一点的 examples，program 的 examples， 用 C++ 和用 Java 来写。所以假如你们听到有 lagging 或者我的声音不清楚，或者看不到我的 screen 请跟我讲，说的我可以去解决那个问题啊。OK， 谢谢。请等一下啊，我开我的screen。OK， 学生可以看到我的 screen 吗？
可以。
OK，Thank you。OK， 来说现在我们接下来 OK 刚才早上我们已经讲到Session 1。OK， 现在我们来看接下来就是我们的 Session 2。OK 我是孙德兴。OK 来，假如我们要写 C++ 或者要写 Java 的 program 呢，我们需要用那个 tools。OK，we need to have the tools. So it's just like every occupation they need to make use of tools. Like for example, a doctor. The tools for a doctor will be a stethoscope, right? For example, a carpenter. For carpenter, their tools maybe a saw or hammer. All right. So for us, okay, in order for us to write programs using the C++ language or using the Java language, our tool can be Visual Studio Code. Okay, so in order to use this Visual Studio Code is actually what we call this as IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Tool. Okay, it is an integrated development tool. It means that it allows you to use it to write your programs. It is also a compiler, okay, that can compile the program that you have written. Besides, you can also use it to test your program, okay, to debug your program. So this morning we talk about debugging, okay, we talk about bugs. So how we can identify the bugs, how can we remove the bugs and retest the program. Okay, we can do this using Visual Studio Code. Okay, later on you'll see how we can run our program how in Visual Studio Code and observe the output. So in order to use a Visual Studio Code, you have to install it. You have to download Visual Studio Code. If you are using it for developing Java program, you can go to this website here, this URL, https://visualstudio.com/docs/languages/java, or you can click on this link here. That will bring you to the website. And inside the website, you will download. You'll see this button here, install the coding pack for Java. There are two versions here. One is for Windows, the other one is for Mac OS. So if your OS is Windows, then you choose the first one. All right, for Windows. So this is for if you have not installed Visual Studio Code before, right? So you just use this, download the coding pack and install it. So that will be straightforward, because the coding pack will have the SDK, the Java SDK. You need to have the Java SDK so that you're able to compile your Java program. So inside this coding pack is already included inside. Okay. Let me also open for you. Let me show to you the web page. Okay, so this is the web page. Okay, the website for this Java in Visual Studio Code. Can you see the website? Yeah. So okay, so if you scroll down, you can see this one, install Visual Studio Code for Java. This is the button here, install the coding pack for Java Windows. You can click on it to download and install it. So as you can see, for this coding pack, it is available for Windows and Mac OS. Okay. So it bundles the Visual Studio Code together with the JDK already. So you don't have to download the JDK separately. Yeah. Now the next one, if you are interested to write C or C++ program, you have a choice of installing the C or C++ extension into your Visual Studio Code. Okay, so if you go to this URL here, code.visualstudio.com/docs/languages/cpp, it will give you, it has the instructions to tell you how you can install the extensions, the CPP instructions, installing the C or CPP extensions to your Visual Studio Code. Okay, so let me just show to you all the web page. Okay, so in here, okay, if you go to this link here, that you have seen just now in the slides, to install, it tells you how to install the extension. All right, so inside the Visual Studio Code itself, you go to the extension, and then you are able to search for C++, and then you click the install button to install it. Yeah, so that will help you to install the extensions for you. But then you also need to have the compiler. So you also have to install the compiler. So for the compiler, you can install the GNU compiler, okay, so we'll install the MinGW compiler. Okay, so MinGW64. So that, which is the minimalist GNU for Windows, MinGW C++. So if you are using the Mac OS, you can select the version for Mac OS. Yeah. So then after you have installed the MinG compiler, right? So to install the MinG compiler, you can click on this link here, or you can click on this link here to get the installer to install it. But of course, after installing the MinG, you also need to set up the path, configure the path for the MinG, for your MinG. So there's the instructions here, how you can add the MinG 64-bit bin folder path to your Windows path environment variable, so that you're able to use it. So after you have added the path, right, then you can check whether your MinG installation is successful from the command prompt. So you just open the command prompt. In your command prompt, you type in this command here. If you can see something, the version number, then you know that it is successfully installed. And your Visual Studio Code will be able to compile your C++ program, okay, which I'll show to you later on using Visual Studio Code. Okay, so that is your MinGW, and edit the MinGW compiler to your path settings. So in this session 2, we are going to go through some of the sample programs. Okay, sample programs, yeah. Now in sample 1, okay, the question is, write a simple program that can perform arithmetic operations, plus, minus, multiply, and divide of 2 integers, and display the result of each operation. So when you run the program, it will give you this output. So it will show to you the message, enter 2 integers column, and then you wait for the user for the input. So the user will enter, let's say for example, if the user enter 2 space 6 and press the enter key, then your program will compute 2 plus 6, okay, 2 plus 6, and the result is 8. So the program will then show to you the output as 2 plus 6 equal to 8. Your program will also compute for 2 minus 6, which is minus 4, and the program will then output to the user 2 minus 6 equal to minus 4. The program will then compute 2 multiply 6, which is 12, and the program will then output 2 multiply 6 equal to 12, and finally the program will compute for 2 divided by 6, which is 0.33, and the computer will then, and the program will then output 2 divided by 6 equal to 0.33. And see that we fix it to 2 decimal places. All right. So this morning we mentioned about how you can fix it to 2 decimal places using the fixed keyword, as well as using the set precision function. Okay, we'll look at that. So here we are going to show you 2 different type of programs. One is using Java and the other one is using C++, in order for us to solve for this question. So the suggested solution for C++ using C++. Okay, I'm going to share my entire screen. I think it's easier. Okay. Now, so let's say, of course, I will create a folder. Let's say I create a folder for CPP, and I also created a folder for Java. So I'm going to put all my C++ program inside this CPP folder. As you can see inside my CPP folder, I have the I also create another subfolder for session 2 that has all my CPP program examples that we are going to discuss later on. So there are 8 samples inside altogether. So I put all my CPP program inside. Yeah. Same thing goes to Java. Later on, I'll demo to you using Java program as well. So for my Java program, I created a folder called Java, and inside this Java folder, I have this subfolder called session 2. So inside the session 2 folder, I have all the Java programs with an extension .java. So the Java program, we have extension .java inside. The class is after you compile it, you get a class file. Yeah. So before you compile, of course, when you write, the Java program is in the .java extension. So now let me just delete away all the class file. Afterward, we can I can show to you again. Yeah, after you compile, you can see the class file will come out. Same thing goes to the CPP. After you compile it, okay, your C++ file will have the extension .cpp, but after you compile, you get the exe extension. Okay, you get an exe file. So let me just delete away all the exe file first. Then after that, you can see that I compile the program to generate the exe file. Yeah. Okay. Now, so how am I going to open this session 2 folder using Visual Studio Code? Very simple. I can just copy the path. So for the session 2 subfolder that is inside the CPP folder. So to copy the path, I just click here, and then I can see I can copy the path. All right. So after I copy the path, I will go to the command prompt. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so after you copy the path, like I mentioned to you just now. Okay, I'll copy the path. After you copy the path, you just go to your command prompt. So in the command prompt, all right, you do a cd to change the directory to the path of your session 2 folder. Okay, so as you can see now, you are in the folder session 2. Okay, session 2 subfolder inside the CPP folder. So when you're inside this folder, I will just apply the command code space dot and press enter. So once I do that, as you can see, it will open for me Visual Studio Code. So now I'm inside the Visual Studio Code, and there you go. This the session 2 folder containing all my CPP files. So these are all the CPP files. Of course, I've installed the MinGW extension. Now you can see the extension is here. Yeah, in here you click on this one. So if you have not installed the extension for CPP, you can just search for CPP extension. So you can see this the CPP or CPP extension that I've installed just now. First, we install this extension, and then we install the MinGW compiler. Okay. So I'm able to. So you can see it recognize the keywords. Okay, it recognize my C program. Okay, it recognize my C program. So this is the C program. Okay, so it can highlight. It can highlight for you. It can perform syntax highlighting. Now, just now this morning I mentioned to you also cout. You don't need to type std cout. You don't have to put in std : cout. Just a cout will do. Why is it so? Because I mentioned that in order to just put in cout rather than std : cout, you must put in the namespace before your program. So at the start of the program. So at the starting of the program, I have the namespace included. That is using namespace std. So by including this line using namespace std, I can just straight away write cout and don't have to write std : cout. If I don't have this namespace, okay, so as you can see, if I don't define the namespace, then you can see I get an error. You can see that it highlights for me. So you see, it can give me syntax highlighting because I've installed the C++ extension. So with this C or C++ extension, you can see that it can give me the IntelliSense debugging and also code browsing, as you can see in the message there, right? In the pop-up window. That's why you can see that it tells me that, oh, I have an error here. Okay, it doesn't recognize what is the cout. It doesn't recognize what is cin. It doesn't recognize what is endl. Therefore, otherwise you have to put in std : cout.
Excuse me, sorry, teacher, sorry for disturbing you. What
No problem.
should I, after downloading C++, what should I do?
The one
比较头痛的。
the one you can, after maybe at the end I can give you the link to see the video, right? The installation. So for now, we will look at the programs first. Okay. Okay, so like this morning we discussed, right? We need to include this std : cout. Okay, so you can see the error disappear. Same goes to this endl. You put std : and line. Okay, sorry. That's the reason being because this cout command and the endl command, they are part of the std namespace, and that is why you need to include the namespace for std. So if you include the namespace for std, you actually do not need to type std. All right, you can just straight away type cout or endl. Same goes to your cin. Yeah. So otherwise you have to repeat typing the std all the while. Yeah, which is troublesome. Now another good thing is that, let's say you didn't arrange it nicely. You see the indentation like that. Sometimes our program looks ugly because of all this type of indentation. We didn't indent it nicely. It's difficult for us to read our program, right? Yeah, it's not wrong. It's not wrong to type like that. But if you don't arrange it nicely, you yourself will have difficulties reading the program, difficulties reading your program. But with this Visual Studio Code, what you can do is you can just, if you want to make them arrange it nicely for you, you just need to right click. Yeah, right click, and then you can see here there's a format document. So you just click on format document. It can automatically indent everything nicely for you, as you can see over here. So I don't have to, manually go and press the space bar or the tab key to indent it. It can help us to do the indentation nicely. Okay, always indent your program nicely so that it's easy for you to read. If let's say there's a bug, it's easy for you to do the debugging. Okay, so that is the namespace I've already mentioned. Now, if you still remember what we have done this morning, in C++ program, you must always start with int main function. Int main function. Okay, so inside the int main function, the starting is you put a curly brace, opening curly block of code, a block of code. So as you can see over here, in line number 7, starting from line number 7 until line number 21, this is the block of code. Yeah, and close inside this opening curly brace and the closing curly brace. Now in the morning session 1, we also learned about variables or identifiers. We created 2 user-defined identifiers here. That is named as num1 and num2. Okay, and we say that the data type of the identifiers or the variables, the data type of the variables. That means the data that we can keep inside num1 and the data that we can keep inside num2. The type of the data must be integer type. It must be an integer type. Of course, I can, you see here, I put them in one line by itself. So separating these two variables with a comma. Of course, you say, okay, I want to put them in separate line. Yeah, you can do so. You can put them in separate line. So in C++ program, you will terminate each statement with a semicolon. So you can see here, this is one statement, right? And it is terminated with a semicolon. This is the second statement, and it is terminated with a semicolon. So every statement, you must end it with a semicolon. That is a C++ program. If, for example, you look at this one, there's no semicolon here. It means this statement is not complete yet, not finished yet. So you see, it continues in the next line until here. And then at the end, we have a semicolon. That means this thing is actually one statement. Starting from here, until the semicolon is one statement. Okay. So remember, we say, three main things: input, process, output, right? So output, we use cout. So we use cout to display. Now in C++, you can use this constant here, \n. \n represent a new line character, If you don't want to use \n, you can use endl. Okay, they are the same, but running the \n can be faster. Okay, it can be faster. The speed can be faster for doing for running this \n. Then okay, then your output to the user, enter two integers, colon. And then the cin here means to accept input from the user. So you're expecting input from the user for num1 and num2. Okay, so when you use cin, okay, when you separate the inputs with a space or enter key. For example, you entered the two numbers, right? Okay, let me run it. To run the program, you can see this button here. You just click on this button here to run it. So you can see I execute for you the program. You compile and then run it for you. So after compiling, you can see you'll get the exe file. Okay, you get the exe file. And then in the terminal, you can see inside the terminal, you can see your output. So the output is, it will give you a new line. Okay. Then followed by the message, enter two integers. Yeah, you'll see that afterward. In the terminal. So in the terminal, you can see this. It gives you a new line, an empty line. Then after that, it has the message, enter two integers, colon. All right. Then because you have the end line here, endl, it will go to the next line. That's why my cursor is not here, but is in the next line here. So waiting for the user to enter the input. Okay, because you have a cin, it waits for the input. So you need two input here because num1 and num2. So you can enter the first number, let's say 4, and the second number, you can separate them with a space in between, or multiple spaces, doesn't really matter. 5. So the first number 4 will go into num1. Second number 5 will go into num2. So you can see here, then it will cout to display to your output. So you can see it first display a next line. So you can see in the new line, here, it display the value inside the num1, which is 4. It display the plus, and then it display the value inside the variable num2, which is 5. And then it display the equal sign, equal, and then it display the result of num1 plus num2. So the result of num1 plus num2 is 4 plus 5, which is 9. So it display for you 9. Then after that, you do a cout \n. So because of this \n, the cursor will go down to the next line. So in the next line, you display num1, which is 4. Then you display a minus. Then you display a num2, which is 5. And then you display equal. So equal. And then it's displayed num1 minus num2. That is 4 minus 5 equal to minus 1. So the value minus 1 is displayed here, minus 1. And then after that, it display the \n, which is the cursor will go to the next line. So \n means a new line character. So there's an invisible new line character at the end here. Okay, so that's why your cursor will go to the next line. And then you continue on with that. Okay. Now, just now I mentioned your precision. Okay, so if you want a 2 precision, so you can see 0.8. But if you want a decimal place, then you have to also use the fixed keyword followed by the precision 2. Then with a fixed and set precision, this means that you have 2 decimal places. Okay, let me run the program again. So if you make changes to your program code, then you will you need to run the program again. So enter 2 integers, let's say 3 and 6. Press, or you can also enter 3, then press enter, and then press enter 6. You can also do it. You can also do it this way, right? And then press enter, and you can see the result. 3 plus 6 is 9. 3 minus 6 is minus 3. 3 times 6 is 18, and 3 divided by 6 is equal to 0.50. Now you can see 2 decimal places. It's not 2 precision, but it's 2 precision with 2 decimal places because you apply the fixed keyword. Fixed. That means this the set precision 2. It means you want to see 2 decimal places. So it will show to you 2 decimal places. Okay. And the last statement must always be a return 0 because your function, this main is a function, it returns an integer number because the data type, the return type of the main function is int type, meaning that the main function returns an integer number. So it returns 0. So 0 is integer number. It basically indicates that it means that okay, the program completed successfully. So this is our first example in CPP. And now also you can see over here, we include IO stream. You need to include IO stream because you are using things like cout, endl, cin. Okay, because basically this these functions is available inside the IO stream. Now you have to include IO many because you are using fixed, you are using set precision. So you have to include IO many. See, if you don't include them, let's say if you don't include IO many, what will happen? If you do not include IO many, you will not recognize what is this set precision. You see, you won't recognize what is this set precision. So therefore, you must include IO many. And now, the variable num1 and the variable num2, you can see they are integer number. Yeah, the type is an integer type. When you divide them, you get a floating point number. So you must convert. So this is what I call a cast, right? Cast it to a floating point number, floating point type. Because after you do a division, the result will not be an integer result. It will be a floating point result. So therefore, you must cast it to a floating point type. So this is our very first program. And you can see here, for strings, you will enclose it with double quote. So you can see this is a string, right? Because the space is also a character, a plus is a character, the space is also a character. So whenever you have more than one character, it's actually a string. So for string in C++, you enclose with a double quote. You put them inside, you put the string inside double quote. So the space plus space in this string is inside a double quote. Same goes to here, the equal. So you have a space equal space. Yeah. So this string here, you put it inside the double quote. Now, just now we talked about debugging. If let's say you have an error and you would like to debug the program, how can I debug the program?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
Actually, we are facing a problem that we don't know the syntax of the program. So actually, almost all of us has lost because we don't know what are the syntax and we don't know what to do. Some of us might not be able to open the visual code to write the code or understand what are you talking about.
Yeah, so the code you all do it at home, do it at home, because in this 1.5 hour times we cannot let you all to do it hands-on at the same time. Otherwise, no time for you all to type in. It takes some time for you to type. So what you all do is after the session ends, you all can watch back the video and type up the code yourself in your Visual Studio Code at home. Okay, so but then here you all just look at the syntax. How to write a C++ program, for example. Is it okay? You understand? So here we just learn about the C++ program. Let's say I want to, let me show to you how to create a program from scratch. Yeah. So to create a program from scratch, so you have opened your Visual Studio Code already. Of course, there's nothing inside. I can open another Visual Studio Code for you. Let me open another one. Let me start from scratch. Okay. So let's say inside this folder, I call it, I just name it as STH, doesn't matter, STH CPP. So I'm going to put my C++ program inside this STH CPP folder. So I will open the folder, as can you see, right? Yeah, okay. So I'll open the folder. And then I can copy the path. Okay, copy the path. All right. After copying the path, I'll open my command prompt. Yeah. Okay, I'll open the command prompt. So in the command prompt, I'll do a cd command so that I can change the directory to the path that I've copied just now. So you can see I put a double quote, paste the path inside, put a closing double quote. Because I want to change the directory to this folder. So then press enter. So now you can see I'm actually inside the STHCPP folder. Yeah. So in here, I'll type CODE space dot. So this will open the Visual Studio Code for me. This will open the STHCPP folder inside the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so inside this STHCPP folder, for me to create a C++ file, you click on this new file button. Okay, so I click on this new file button and then I type in, hello. Okay, hello CPP. I name my file name as hello. So this is a CPP file. C++ file will have an extension .cpp. Okay. Then, so every CPP file, the most basic thing you need is you have to include IO stream. Because just now in this morning, we mentioned that every program must have the input, process, output, right? You need to have input, output. So this input, output, you need to use IO stream. So the first thing is you have to include your IO stream. Okay, so you have to include your IO stream. Don't forget your hash include.
Teacher, the IO stream is for the sector precision.
No, IO stream is for input output for you to use C out or C in.
Oh, okay.
If you are using if your program need to make use of C out or C in, then you must include this IO stream. Then the next thing is you have to first have your program must always start with int main, like that. So this is the basic structure of your program, and so this is what we call a main function. So every program in C++ must have a main function that returns an integer number. Okay, and at the end, the last line of your program, right, of the code, you must have a return 0. So, and every statement must end with a semicolon. So this is the basic structure of the program. Okay. Then if you want to display output to your monitor, you use cout. So you can do a cout. Okay. Let's say you cout hello world. All right. So this will display the word hello world, but then you can see there's error here. Cout, it doesn't recognize by cout because you need to have the std : cout. But if you think that is too troublesome for you to type in this std : what you can do is you can, before the start at the beginning of the program, you include the namespace std. You include the using namespace std. Okay, so you include the using namespace std. Then you don't have to actually put in the std in front. Okay. Now, so just now I mentioned to you the program, you must always indent nicely so that it's easy to read. You can see here like that, it's not easy to read, it's not indented nicely, yeah. Because you see this inside this block, you have this statement here and this statement, right? Now to indent it nicely, you just right click and then do a format document. You can see you automatically indent for you everything nicely. So the line number here is just for reference only. So actually your program don't have this line number. So your program is all this code here. Okay, now if you run the program by clicking on this button here, you can see your output. So it asks you to choose your compiler, the first thing. So you have installed MinGW, right? Then you have this G++ compiler. So you can select this G++ compiler to compile the program. So after compiling the program, it will produce for you the exe file. Afterward, you can see the exe file. So you can see the exe file. So now you have the exe file, right? Then you can see in the terminal, you can see the output. In the terminal, okay. In the terminal, you can see the output, hello world. All right, hello world. So if you want to accept input from the user, then you use cin. So cin for input. Okay, so the next thing is we declare a variable. Okay, so let's say I declare a variable string. And like I said, always give a meaningful name to your variable. So let me call it name. Okay, so the name of the variable is name. So I will store a string data type into the variable name. Yeah. So cout, I display it to the user a new line character. So I say /n to display a new line. Then after that, in a new line, I display, please enter your name. Okay. Now I want to accept input from the user. So to accept input from the user, you use cin. So when the user type the input from the keyboard, right? Enter the input. The value entered by the user, I want to keep inside the variable name, right? Inside this variable name. So cin to name. Then let's say I want to display out the value inside the variable name. So I can use cout. And I say good day. Okay. Name. I use a cout to display it to the monitor. Good day name. Okay, see what happens. Okay, what will it look like? So you can see here the output. Hello world, please enter your name. So I say Abing. Okay, I put Abing and press enter. Now you can see the output is good day without the Bing. If you're using C++, you want to get the entire line because there's a space, right? Separating this R and the Bing, these two words. There's the space here. So you just take AH. Okay, not the Bing don't have. So what is stored inside the variable is AH. If you want to get the entire line, then you can actually use getLine. You can use the getLine function. Okay, so cin this getLine function, the namespace. Hold on, let me check the namespace. So if you're using a getLine function, all right, the getLine function. Hold on, let me check namespace. Suddenly I can't remember what's the namespace for getLine. Hold on. Let me just check. Okay. So you can see to use the getLine function, All right, you have to include the string names this. Okay, so you have to include string. All right, then only you are able to use the get line. Yeah, the get line function, not this program. So you can see here the get line here got the error, right? There's an error here. So it doesn't recognize what is get line. So you have to include string. Then you can see now it recognizes what is the get line function, because the get line function is defined inside the string. All right, inside string. So you have to include string. Okay, so it takes in two parameters. The first parameter you pass in cin. The second parameter is the variable name. Okay, now let us try to run the program again. Now for the output window here, if you have too many things, okay, too crumbled up, you can just do a clear screen, CLS, to clear it, right? So that it looks tidy and clean. Now click this button to run the program again. So you can see here, the first thing is it outputs for you a hello world. Then in the next line, it says, please enter your name. And then after that, you do a, oh, sorry, I got an extra thing here. Okay, let me just stop it. You can click this button to stop it because I forgot to delete the this statement. So let me just delete the this statement. Okay, and then run the program again. Okay. So click this button here to run it again. Okay, so you can see the output, hello world. Then in the next line, please enter your name. So I'll put the hello world. Then after that, I'll put next line, please enter your name. And you have a get line. So your cursor is waiting here, waiting for the user and input. So the user type in Bing, okay? R space Bing, Bing, okay? Bing. And then press enter. So then you can see good day, Bing. Good day, Bing. So by using get line, instead of just cin, we use get line function. That will be able to accept the entire line for us. And then we use a cout to output good day, Bing. The value from the variable name has the value Bing. That's why you can see the result, good day, Bing. Now, so we talk about debugging. So if you want to perform debugging, let's say I want to debug, check this line. I want to check this line. Visual Studio Code allows me to enter a breakpoint. You can see here, if I click here, I get a red dot. That means when I run my program, it will stop at this breakpoint. So this is a breakpoint. It will stop at the breakpoint. Then when it stops at the breakpoint, I can examine my code starting from the breakpoint onwards. I can examine the variables. For example, I want to examine what is the content inside the variable name. I put a breakpoint here so that you will execute my code until here, until this breakpoint, and you stop there. Then I can examine what is inside the variable name. See? Okay, now let me run it again one more time. Start my program. Okay, so my program is waiting for me to enter my name, right? So this time I put Alian. Okay, Alian. I press enter. Now you can see that my program will stop at the breakpoint. It's not running anymore. It stopped here. When my program stops at the breakpoint here, I can actually examine my code. I can move. Let's say I want to see what is inside the variable name. I can just move my cursor. I move my cursor over the variable name. And you can see Alian. Can you see Alian? So I know what is inside name. The value inside the variable name is Alian. So this cout will display for me good day, Alian. Now another thing that you see here, I use a plus. This plus here is not a mathematical plus. It's not your mathematics plus, but it represents a string concatenation. What do you mean by string concatenation? Plus. So Concatenation means combining the string. You have a string here. A name, obviously, the name Alian is also a string. You know that it is a string because it is enclosed inside double quote. Now, I've mentioned to you this morning that in C++, anything that is put inside double quote is a string. So I have a string, good day. I have another string here, Alian. I want to join these two strings together. It becomes good day, Alian. How do I do that? I use a plus. Now you can see once again, I can check first before I actually run the code. I can check what is the result first using this debugging tool. I can highlight the entire thing here. Oops, sorry, too fast. I can highlight this. You can see here, I can highlight this thing. After highlighting it, I move my mouse over. Oh, this one cannot. Sorry. Other editor. That's why the different editors, they may have different functionalities. Some editors, you can allow you to highlight, code highlighting, and then you can move over and then you can examine. Yeah, but this one cannot. All right, so you can move here, or you can also create a watch, add watch. So you can see add a watch here. I can say add a watch of, let's say I want to know what is this. So you can see I can highlight this thing, right? Copy it. All right, and then I can add a watch. And you can see, okay, you can see over here. Okay, name, let's say I watch the name, the variable name. So name is Alia. So or you can move your mouse over, like I said just now, and you can see that it is Alia. Okay, now to continue, I can just press this button here to continue or to run all my program, or I can just click this one, F11, to step into my program. So you can go to the next line. So you can see here, if I click this one, okay, you can step into my program, or I can just click this to just finish running it. So when I finish running it, then I can see the result as good day earlier. All right. So again, one more time, just show to you. So when you click this debugging, if you have a breakpoint, you can see that it will stop at a breakpoint. Okay, you start at a breakpoint. So you can see I have a watch here. My watch is named. So now I input, let's say input Sun Tek Heng, press enter. So you can see the watch here name has the value Sun Tek Heng. Same thing, I can move my mouse over, I can see the name is Sun Tek Heng, right? Then okay, so I can press this one, step over. So now you can see it stopped at the next line. When I click this step over, it started the next line here. So it has finished executing this line number 13. And you can see my result is here. Good day, something here. Okay, good day, something. But the program never end yet, not end yet. Because now it started at line 15. So I have to continue to execute. So I just press if I step over or I press this one to continue executing until the end, then you can see the program ends. And of course, I have the exe file created, hello.exe. Now inside my terminal here, you can see in my terminal here, to run my program, I also can run from here because I have the exe file already. I can just run it from here, from my terminal. Yeah, I just put the /hello. Okay, .exe. Press enter. So it will run my program, and I put in the result. I put in Mutu, enter, and it says good day Mutu. You see? So I'm running the exe file, hello exe. Or you can run from your command prompt. Just now you have your command prompt open, yeah, in your command prompt, right? So inside the command prompt, if you do a directory W, you can see your program here, hello.exe program. You can just run it. So you just type gf. You can just type hello.exe, yeah, and press enter. So your program will run. OK， 对不起啊，刚才我的电脑 suddenly terminated， so 我又再 restart 过我的电脑。学生们可以听到我吗？
可以。
OK， thank you。Sorry 啊。OK， 来，刚才我 接回刚才 continue back where we stopped just now。对，我不能 share 我的 screen。
wait 啊，
啊。
OK，
OK，来看一看。可以了 ，Thank you 啊，谢谢。
OK，
OK，学生可以看到我的 screen 吗？所以刚才我是讲到这边了 ，OK 我的 program 我们已经有了那个 EXE program 对吗？所以你看你
是还没有看到你的 slide。
诶，我这个 command prompt 啊，我 share 我的 command prompt， 可以看到那个 command prompt 吗？有没有看到我的 share screen？
没有。
啊，那个我再 share 多一些，我 share entire screen 的 share screen， 有没有 ？So
老师，你
我还没有
leave room，
啊？
然后我帮你 leave room，然后等一下我再帮你 set 成 co-host， 然后你再进来。
哦 ，OK， OK，
leave room 先啊，不是。
OK，Hello session，你们可以看到我的 screen 吗 ？PowerPoint？
可以。
呀 ，OK，good。OK，so 刚才我所讲是在我要 demo 这个 program 给你们看，这个 Hello EXE 的 program。so 刚才你讲我已经 compile 了，so 你就可以看到这个 Hello EXE 的 program。OK，so 你就可以 run 那个 program， 所以 type HELLO hello.exe， 你就可以在你的 command prompt 这边 run 它，你看它就可以 run。说除了在那个 Visual Studio Code 里面 run 那个 program， 我们也是可以 run 那个 program 在这个 command prompt。So 它叫我们 please enter your name， so type OK 阿炳，press enter，then 你就可以看到 good day 阿炳 ，OK，so good day 阿炳。OK，so 现在我们来 continue 进来我们的那个 program。so 在这个刚才我讲 OK， 你这样开你的 Visual Studio Code，OK，so 你就是 type code space dot 在那个 path 那边，你就可以开那个这个 folder 在你的 Visual Studio Code。so you are able to open the folder in your Visual Studio Code。so inside your Visual Studio Code, you can see that we have created a CPP program, hello world.cpp, and this is our program. OK， 有问题吗？你们学生对这个 program？ OK， 学生可以吗 ？OK， 我们可以接 ，Can we continue class？
Teacher, actually, almost all of us didn't haven't installed the compiler, so we cannot coding.
You all just for the time for this one, you all just listen and understand the program. Then after that, you all can try to install after the session over. Is that okay? Because it will take some time for you all to install. If you all install now, then basically I can't go through the program anymore because it will basically take the whole day already after that, the entire hour. Is that okay? Can you all install that after the class and try out? So for now, just is the understanding the code. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we have completed the first sample program in CTP just now using C++. Now, how about in Java? So in C++, how about in Java? So Java also the same. If you all have installed Visual Studio Code for Java, you can use your Visual Studio Code to develop your Java program, like what we have here. All right. So as you can see, I have actually I have the folder. Okay, I've created a folder for Java. Inside the Java folder, I've created a subfolder called session 2. So inside this session 2 folder, I have all my Java program inside. Okay, so I'll copy the path. Same thing, I'll open the command prompt. In the command prompt, I do a cd to change the directory to the path that contains my Java program. Okay, so as you can see now, I'm inside the path java/session2 that contains my Java program. You can see if I do a dir, you can see all my Java program inside. Okay, so to open this folder in Visual Studio Code, I just apply the command cod code space dot to open in the Visual Studio Code. So in the Visual Studio Code, sample 1 Java. Okay, this is the sample 1 Java program that will like what you have seen in C++ just now. Okay, now the difference is that, okay, for Java, you have to the template is you have to define the class. Okay, so your class, so here we call it public class sample1. The class name must be the same as your file name. You see the file name is called sample1.java. So your class name must also be sample1. It must be the same. Okay, if not, you'll get error. Okay, please just remember this. Yeah, so your class name must be the same as the file name. You see, if I show you the sample2.java file, so the class name sample2, which is the same as the file name sample2. Understand? Yeah. Now, then inside the class, we must have a method called the main method. Okay, so this main method is public static void. It returns nothing. Void means nothing. Okay, so this main method returns nothing, returns a void. So public static void. Okay, now here is this is the arguments or the parameters that you can pass into the main. So this is fixed already. So what you do is fixed already. So you must follow this. So if let's say you create a new program, a new Java program, yeah. So let's say testing. Okay, testing.java. So your testing.java program, you can see the template. You must have a class called testing, which is the same as your file name testing. Then inside the testing class, you must have the static public void method, and the name of the method is called main. Okay, inside the main, inside here, the parenthesis here, okay, the arguments will be string args, string array. Okay, let me, where's the copy? Hold on. It's an array. Args is an array of string. So here we have string array args. So args is an array of string, and then you must have the open and close curly brace, so the block of code. Now in Java, to display output to your monitor, you use system.out.println, okay, to display the output. Okay, so you will use system.out.println. So let's say, so the parameter that you put in is a string. So I say Sun Tek. Okay, so I say greetings from Sun Tek. All right, so this is the output. Now, so when I run it, I can, the same thing, I'll click on this run code button here and run my program. It will create for me the class file. After I run it, it will compile my code and produce for me the corresponding class file, and I can see the result in the terminal. So you can see in the terminal, I will be able to see greetings from Sun Tek. So that is for output. In Java, we use system.out.println, like what you have seen in this morning's presentation. Okay. So let us look at the sample one. .java. So using Java program to achieve the same result, okay, for this question, yeah. So your program will display enter two integers column and then accept two integer number from the user, and then your program will perform the computation for the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and show the result. Okay. So using Java program to do it, you must in order to accept input, you must define a scanner object. Okay, you must define a scanner object. So we define a scanner to use this scanner object, scanner class. In order for you to be able to use the scanner class, you must import java.util.scanner, java.util.scanner. Okay, so that you are able to use the scanner class. So now we can define my object to be a scanner object. Okay, so we instantiate a scanner object, and we can use my object to accept input from the user. Now we want to accept two integer input. You use next int method. So from the scanner class, it has from your scanner object, it has the method called next int method. If you move your mouse over, it can tell you what is the use of this next int method. So we'll call the next int method in order to in order to get a integer input from the user, and the integer value that is entered by the user we assign to the variable num1. Same thing, we use the scanner object next int method to get the input from the user, which is an integer number, and that integer number entered by the user we assign to the variable num2. How to define variables in Java? You can see it's the same, because we want to define an integer, the variable that is an integer data type, we use the int type, int. So num1 is the variable, num2 is the variable, sum is a variable, minus is a variable, multiply is a variable. So we define all of them in one line, so we separate them with a comma. So these are all integer variable, integer type. Okay. Then we declare the divide to be a double type. The data type for the variable divide is a, okay, we'll display the message, enter two integers, and then we use the scanner object, next int method, to accept the integer number from the user assigned to the variable num1. We use the scanner object, next int method, to accept the integer number from the user and assign to the variable num2. Then we can perform the addition, that is num1 plus num2. After adding it, we assign to the variable sum. We perform subtraction, num1 minus num2. The result is assigned to the variable minus. We perform multiplication, num1 multiply num2. The result is assigned to the variable multiply. We perform the division, num1 divided by num2. And then we convert it into a floating point number. Okay, so we convert it into a float number. So we do a floating, this is called a float cast. So we cast it to a float number, and then we assign to the variable divide. You have to cast it because num1 is an integer, and num2 is also an integer, but the result, you know, that is a floating point result. So you have to cast it to a float type. Okay, before you assign to the variable divide. And then we can display the result, display the output using system.out.println to display the output to the computer monitor. Okay, so same like C++, the \n means new line. The plus means string concatenation. So you have a string here, concatenate with this value in the variable num1, and then concatenate with another string here, and then concatenate with the value in the variable num2, and then concatenate with this string, and then concatenate with the value from the variable sum. Okay, so same thing goes to the rest of the printf statement. It's better that when you just type it nicely, because if you type nicely, right, then it's easy for us to read our program also lah. It's not wrong to have it like that, but it's just that if you didn't put it nicely, just like your indentation, you didn't indent your program nicely, it's difficult for we ourselves to read our program, not to say other people, right? Even we the developer, okay, we also have difficulties reading it.
Teacher, what is the float about?
Which one?
The float.
Okay, so you see num1 is an integer number, right? Num1 is integer, num2 also integer. Integer divide by, if you after you perform division, definitely you know that it will give you a float, a number with a decimal place, correct? Right? It cannot be a whole number. Yeah, okay, it cannot be just an integer number. So therefore you must convert, make sure that because this integer, right? Integer divided by integer, you'll get an integer result. Then your answer is not correct anymore, because this is an integer variable, num1. Num2 is also an integer variable. If you just have an integer divided by integer, you get another integer number, which the result is not correct, because you divide, when you perform a division operation, you won't get an integer number, you get a real number. If you just leave it as integer, that means you cut out the value already, you cut out some of the value, so your result is not accurate, it's not correct anymore. Therefore, you must say that this result, the result is a floating point, it's a real number. Therefore, you have to cast it to a float data type. Float is a data type, just like int is a data type, double is a data type. You can cast it to a double also. Is that okay? Have I answered your question?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Then we assign to the variable divide. So now divide is a double. The type is a double. Then don't forget one thing, your scanner object. After you see here, we create a scanner object, okay? Because we want to accept input, right? We create a scanner object and we use the scanner object. After using a scanner object, don't just leave it like that. 当就没有一回事情啊，你用完了关掉那个 scanner object. So remember to close your scanner object. Okay, so yeah, then let's try to debug it. Okay, click the run button. Same thing like C++. If you want to debug your Java program, you just put the breakpoint. Yeah, you can put a breakpoint. So you can see my program is running now. It says enter 2 integer. So I enter 3 and 6. Okay, 3 space 6 and press enter. So now you can see the output. It gives me, okay, 3 plus 6 is 9, 3 minus 6 is minus 3, 3 times 6 is 18, 3 divided by 6 is 0.50. Now 2 decimal places. In Java, how do I get 2 decimal places? So to get 2 decimal places in Java, you must first of all import java.text.decimal format. You need to import java.text.decimal format because in order to be able to format into 2 decimal places, you have to you need to make use of the decimal format. Yeah, you need to make use of the decimal format. So like you can see from here, okay, so we define df, the variable df, which is the decimal format. Okay, decimal format object. So df is the decimal format object. So so like in this case here, we use the new operator, the new keyword to instantiate a decimal format object. Okay, we instantiate a decimal format object from the decimal format class. So you can see this decimal format class. This class is defined inside java.text.decimal format. That's why you have to import this class. If you do not import this class, then it will not recognize what is this decimal format class. So we define the variable df. The variable df is referring to a decimal format object because we use the new keyword here to instantiate or to create a decimal format object. And we have this df, the variable df, to refer to the decimal format object. So when we instantiate the decimal format object, we say that, okay, we want to have 2 decimal places. So this is how we define the pattern for 2 decimal places. Now we can use the variable df, okay, to format our output, for the value inside the variable divide. So you can see the value inside the variable divide is actually the result from num1 divided by num2, okay, which is a double type. So we can format it. We use df object, decimal format object, to format the value inside the divide to be this, to be according to this pattern here. So which is a 2 decimal place, and that's the reason why when you see it, you see it as 2 decimal place. Okay, so we have completed the first example. Okay, so just now it says, okay, you want to debug the program, then you can just click on the, let's say, click on this one, you put a breakpoint, then you click the debug button, you'll stop at the breakpoint. Okay, so you're able to examine your code when you stop at the breakpoint. Okay, so you can see here there's a run and debug. So you can see run and debug. Okay, so let us look at the second one. The second example. In the example 2, okay, you are asked to write a C++ program to produce the output as shown below here. Okay, this output. So it will show, okay, so you have the value x and the value y. If x is 10 and y is 5, so the expression x equal to y plus 3, which is 5 plus 3, right? So it show you the result as x equal to 8. Okay, so and like that. So you have to show this output here. Okay, in C++ CPP. So this is the program in CPP. Let me show to you in over here. It's easier to show to you here. So I'll open the folder in Visual Studio Code. It's easier to just show in the Visual Studio Code, right? Because it's bigger. Okay, so you can see the program. So this is the program. So you can see the first we include IO string, and then we use the namespace std, and then we define the main method, the main function, int main. So inside this int main, the last statement is return 0. Yeah, return 0. So you can see that we define the necessary variables, which is the variable x and the variable y. We give the value 10, assign the value 10 to the variable x, and assign the value 5 to the variable y. Okay. So after we have done this, we can display the result, the output. So you can see we use cout to display the result column, and then next line. Okay. So let me run it and show to you all. Okay, so you can see this one, result column. That's because of the cout here. And then you do a cout x value. Okay, so you can see this x value. But this \t. \t means it's a tab character. It's just like you press the tab character, so it goes one tab. So there's one tab spacing. All right, and then you display y value. Then you display y value. This one, y value. And then \t, so there's a tab spacing. Okay, there's a tab space here. And then you display expressions. So you see expressions. And then \t, that means there is the tab spacing, a tab space. So you can see from here to here, there's a tab space. Then after that, you see result. Okay. And then you have a new line character. So it goes to the next line. In the next line here, you display cout. You use cout to display the value from the variable x, which is 10. And then you display the tab spacing. So a tab space, and then you display the value from the variable y. Okay, so this is the value from the variable y. And then you display a tab spacing. So there's a tab spacing here. And then you display x equal to y plus 3. So you display x equal to y plus 3. And then after that, you display a tab spacing, and then after that, you display x. Okay, you display x equal to, so you display x equal to the result of y plus 3. So which is 5 plus 3, which is 8. So it is, you see 8. And then after that, you display, so \n means a new line, you go to the new line. So in the new line, you display x. So you display x. Then after that, you display a tab space, and then you display y. And then after that, you display a tab space, and then you display x equal to y minus 2, tab. So x equal to y minus 2, tab, and then another tab space, and then you display x equal to, and then you display x equal to, so you display x equal to, and the result of y minus 2, which is 3. Okay, which is 3, yeah. So y is 5, 5 minus 2 is 3, so you display 3. Then after that, you display /n, which is next line. So the same thing, okay, so you go through it, it is the same process. Therefore, you get all this result here. All right. So we have achieved the result as stated in the question. Now, if we want to achieve the same thing using Java program, so in your Java program, sample2.java, okay, so in your Java program, so we define the class sample2, the file name, the class name must be the same as the file name. And then inside the class, we have the public static void main. Okay, it's fixed already, like I said. So then the parameter is args, which is an array of string. So your code is inside this curly brace. You have a curly brace here. Okay, so you can see this curly brace is to close this curly brace, and then for the class here, you have the open curly brace here, and you have a closing curly brace here. Inside here, okay, we define the variable x to be an integer type. Value is 10. Initialize the value of the variable x to be 10. We define y to be the integer type and initialize the value of the variable y to be 5. Okay. Then in the next statement, we have system.out.println to display this one, result colon \n. Okay, let me run it. Okay, so you can see here. Okay, let me just start again. This one. Here the screen, too many things. Okay, so you can see the result. Okay, the result of running the program. So you have the okay, result column. There's the print line here, result, and then you do a system.out.println. So x value concatenate with this one, y value concatenate with the expression, concatenate with the result. So you get this output here. And then because you have a /n, there's a new line, so it goes to the next line. So then here we use a system.out.println. So in this line here, we display the value for x, concatenate with the tab space. So you can see there's a tab space, and then display the value in the variable y. Display the tab space. So we display the tab space and display x equal to y plus 3, and then the tab spacing. Because of the backslash, we have the tab space, and then display x equal to, and then we display the result of y plus 3. So the result of y plus 3 is 8, so it's 8. So the same thing, okay, goes for the rest, and therefore you get the output. All right, you get the following output. So this is your Java program. Okay, let's continue. The next one.
Teacher, what is the percentage mean?
Percentage. Okay, hold on. Which percentage?
The last one.
Okay. In arithmetic operations for your computer programming, right? Now this percent is a modulus operation. What do we mean by modulus? It means the value in the variable x divided by the value in the variable y, and what is the remainder. So that means x modulus y is to give you the remainder of x divided by y. Now you see what is x? X is 10, right? And what is y? Y is 5. What is 10 divided by 5? 10 divided by 5 is 2. Is there any remainder? There's no remainder. The remainder is 0. And therefore, the output, the result of x modulus y is 0. That's why you get 0.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, then let us continue. So the third example, okay, the third example here, you're asked to write a C++ program to print the area and perimeter of a rectangle. You can see here. So our objective is to find out what is the area of this rectangle. So we need to know what is the width and the height of this rectangle, right? So meaning that our program must get the input from the user, okay, for the width, and get the input from the user for the height. So we get two input. So we ask the user, okay, we display the message, print the area and perimeter of a rectangle. Okay, we display this output, and then we display input the width of the rectangle. Okay, we display this so that the user knows what is happening now. Then we have to get the input from the user. So let's say the user entered 13.4, and then we display, okay, and then we display this one, input the height of the rectangle. So we have to display this output so that the user will know what is happening, right? Then the user will enter 3.5. Then after that, we can compute. Okay, we display the output. The area of the rectangle is this one, 46.9. The result, this 46.9 is the result of 13.4 multiplied with 3.5. So we have already calculated, right? Calculated the area of this rectangle, which is 46.9. We display it for the user to see. We can also calculate the parameter of this rectangle. Parameter is the width, 2 times of the width plus 2 times of the height. So we compute the parameter, and the result is 33.8. So we display the output. The parameter of the rectangle is 33.8. So that is what the question says, yeah. So based on this question, we have to write the computer program either in C++ or in Java. Depends. Okay, if you're writing C++ program, then you write C++ program to be able to produce, okay, the program that will be able to achieve these objectives. Okay, that can achieve this objective. Okay, so now let us look at the example of the C++ program. So that is your third sample. So in this third sample here, so you can see here, we need IO stream, we need IO many. Now the question is, why do you need IO many? So just now we mentioned already, you need IO many because you're using fixed, you're using set precision. Okay, you want to show it as a 1 decimal place, so you must include fixed and include set precision. So set precision, the value is a 1. That means 1 decimal place. Okay, your answer, your output will be shown in 1 decimal place. So you can see let me run the program and then show to you, then you can see the output. So you know what is this line already, the first line? Okay, the beginning I don't have to say already, okay, using namespace std, because you don't want to keep on repeating typing std, 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 right? So you better include this statement using namespace std. You know that this is a C++ program. For C++ program, you must always start with imp main. That is your main function. Okay. Then all your program code must be inside the block. So to be inside the block, you use the curly brace, open curly brace, and closing curly brace. And you also know that for a C++ program, the last statement must be return 0. So you know the template already. So inside the template, you put in your code. So this is the piece of code that will achieve your objectives. Okay. Now you have to think, okay, the variable. So we need the variable to, if you look at your question here, we need a variable to store the value for the width, a variable to store the value for the height. Okay. You also need to have a variable that can store the value for the area, and a variable that can store the value for the parameter. You look at the result here. You have a decimal place. When you multiply them, definitely you get some decimal place. The answer will have decimal place. Yeah. So when you define the variable, you start to think. Okay, you see, can I use an integer type for the variable width? Can I have the variable width to be of type integer? Cannot, because the width is a real number, got decimal place. Therefore, when you define the data type for the variable width, it must be a float. But sometimes it depends on if you think that the value can be very large, larger than the float type, then you need a double. Then you define as a double type. Okay, because a float type will be 4 bytes, and then a double will give you 8 bytes. 8 bytes is 64 bits. Yeah, so you can actually store quite a huge number already. All right, but a float will be the memory space used will be 4 bytes, so it's 32 bits. So float is enough lah. Looking at this, our square or rectangle cannot be so big, right? So using a float is sufficient, and that is the reason why we think that okay, it's good enough for us to just make use of float for the type of data that we are going to store in the variable area, in the variable parameter, in the variable width, and also in the variable height. Float is good enough. Okay. Then we display the output using the cout print. Okay. We display 2 new lines first. \n means 2 new lines. So you can see here there's actually 1 new line, another new line, 2 new lines, and then only we display print the area and parameter of the rectangle. So print the area and the parameter of the rectangle, semicolon. Then we have a \n, so which is the new line. So it goes to the next line. And then we do a cout to display this dash and a new line. So you can see here we display dash and then a new line. Sorry, and then a new line. So the cursor will go down to the next line. So then we display input, space input, the width of the rectangle column. So you can see input the width of the rectangle column, and the cursor is waiting here for the user input because you're using cin. Okay, so now you can enter the input for the width. Okay, you enter the input and you'll be assigned to the variable width. So look at the sample here is 13.4 for the width. So we'll type 13.4 and press enter. Then you display input the height of the rectangle. So you display the output, input the height of the rectangle. And then the cursor is here waiting for the user to enter the input because we have the cin height, meaning that the input that the user enter here will then be placed, will then be assigned to the variable height. So you can once again we look at the sample here is 3.5 for the height. So okay, so we put 3.5 and press enter. Then you can see the program will calculate for us the parameter of the rectangle, which is 2 times the width plus height. So the result of this computation is assigned to the parameter variable, and then we also compute the area, which is width multiply height. And the result of the area, height multiplied with width, we assign to the variable area. And then finally, we say, okay, we want to show all the output in one decimal place. So we use fixed and set precision. And then we display all the output. So we display the area of the rectangle. So the area of the rectangle is the value inside the variable area, which is 46.9. And then we display the parameter of the rectangle is the value in the variable parameter, which is 33.8. Are you okay? To achieve the same objective using a Java program. So for Java program, okay, so we import java.util.scanner, java.text.decimal. So we use the decimal format to set the pattern to be 0.0, one decimal place, yeah, one decimal place. So remember, we need to have the public static void main args to be an array of string, and then we define the scanner object, and then we define the variables to be a float data type, and then we display the output, print the area on parameter of a rectangle, and then we display the output dash 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 dash. Yeah. And then we display the output, input the width of the rectangle, and get the input from the user. So using the scanner object. Now here we use next float method from the scanner object. Why is it we use the next float method? Because we want to get a floating point number from the user so that we are able to assign to the variable width. You see, your variable width is defined to be a floating type, a float data type. So therefore, we are expecting the user to give us to input a float number. Therefore, we must use next float so that we can get a float number from the user and assign to the variable width. And then after that, we display, input the height of the rectangle. Okay. And then we use the scanner object, next float method, to accept input from the user. The input will be a floating point data type. And then the input is assigned to the variable height. We calculate the parameter, which is from the formula, using the formula 2 multiply width plus height, and then assign the result to the variable parameter. We calculate for the area, which is from the formula height multiply width, the result assigned to the variable area. And then we display the area of the rectangle is using the decimal format to format the output for the value inside the variable area. And then here we use the decimal format to format the value in the variable parameter. So that's how we achieve the objectives. Let us run it and see the result. Okay, so if you run the program in Java, okay, you will get the result. Yeah. So that's for sample 3. Sample 4. Okay, sample 4. Prompt a user to key in the radius of a circle, then calculate and display the area of the circle with 2 decimal places. So you enter the radius 3.4, and it will output for you area of the circle is 36.30. So once again, we write our program in C++. So you can see here, we ask the user to enter the radius of the circle. We define the 2 variables, radius and area, to be a float data type. We get the input from the user using cin for the radius, and then we compute the area of the circle. So the area of the circle is 3.14 multiply radius square, which is multiply radius multiply radius. And the result we assign to the variable area. And then we display the output in 2 decimal place. So using fixed and set precision, so that the output will be shown in 2 decimal place. Okay, so this is the solution of the program. Now the next one, in Java, okay, we will have to import java.util.scanner and java.text.decimal format. And then we have to define the public class sample for, we call it sample for. Remember that the class name must be the same as your file name. Yeah. And then okay, we have to define the decimal format object. So the format is in 2 decimal place. If the questions, okay, 2 decimal place. Okay, 2 decimal place. So the format is in 2 decimal place, so 0.00 the pattern. Then we need to have the public static void main. So you can see this is the template already. So it's fixed already. Yeah, it must be public static void main. Inside the parentheses, you have string bracket args, meaning that args is an array of string. Okay. Then define the scanner object and then declare the variable. So the variable float, radius and area. Both of these variables, the data type is a float data type. Display the output for the user. Ask the user to enter radius of circle and then get the input from the user. So using next float, because we expect the user to input floating point number. So we'll use the next float method. Assign the input from the user to the variable radius, and then we can calculate the area of the circle. So when we compute, you know that this is a float, we cast it to a float type. Cast it to a float type, and then the result we assign to the area, to the variable area. And then we display out the output, the result. Area of circle, concatenate with the area that we have computed just now. So therefore, we are able to see this output. Okay, if you run the program, you are able to see this output here. All right. So that is for sample 4. Sample 5. So in sample 5, you prompt the user to input the elapsed time for an event in seconds. The program will then output the elapsed time in hours, minutes, and seconds. So you see here, the user will enter, for example, 5890. This is in terms of seconds. And we want to count, we want to display out what the equivalent in hours, colon minutes, colon seconds, which is equal to 1:38, 10. So we want this type of output. How can we achieve this? So in the C++ program, you can see here in our program here, we define the variable second per hour. This variable here, you can see that the value will not change. We fix it at 3600 because it's already fixed. It's 3600 seconds per hour. We know that it's not going to change, and therefore we just make it as a constant. So we will just make it as a constant. You saw using constant here. So constant keyword means that the value here cannot change anymore. Once you define it, it's fixed as 3600. It will not change. Same thing, we define seconds per minute to be a constant. So it has the value 60. So the value will not change. Right? It's a constant. Now then these 3 variables, okay, is defined as integer type. So we have hours, minute, and second. And then you know that we are using cout to display this message, enter the elapsed time in seconds. And then we use cin to obtain the input from the user, and then which will be assigned to the variable seconds. And then after that, we display the new line, and then we display the message. The elapsed time in second is equal to how many seconds? The value inside the variable seconds. Then we perform the computation. We calculate how many hours are there in the seconds. So the formula is seconds divided by seconds per hour. Okay, so the total number of seconds that is input by the user, divided by the seconds per hour. Seconds per hour is 3,600, right? So you divide by 3,600, you will get the number of hours. So we assign to the variable hours. You want to get the number of seconds, which is, then you will find the modulus. That means you divide by seconds per hour and get the remainder. Okay, so that will give you the remaining seconds. How many seconds are still remaining? Then minutes will be the total number of seconds divided by seconds per minute. So you can get the total minutes. The total seconds, the number of seconds, the remaining seconds can also be obtained from you find the remainder of dividing it with seconds per minute. Yeah, it's the same. Either you divide with the seconds per minute or you divide by seconds per hour. That will still give you the same result for the remaining seconds. So now you have hours, how many minutes, and how many seconds. You can display them. Okay, you can display the equivalent time in hours, minute, and second is the number of hours, number of minutes, and number of seconds. So that's how we can achieve this solution here. In Java also the same. You can see to define constant in Java. Here we make use of the private static final. So you can see it's final. That means this is not a variable but a constant. Means the value that you assign to seconds per hour and also seconds per minute will not change anymore. After you run this statement, you cannot change the value inside them anymore. It's final already. It's final. Okay. So, and now you should know that if you are using scanner, you need to import java.util.scanner. Okay, define the variables to be of integer type. And now also you should know that to display the output in Java, you are using system.out.println. Okay, so you know that, you also know that to get input from the user, you have to use the scanner object. Which method to use, whether it's next int or next float or next boolean, that depends on what input you expect from the user. So here we expect the input to be integer type from the user. So we use next int method from the scanner object. Then you perform the computation to calculate how many hours, how many seconds, and how many minutes. And then we can display out the result, the equivalent time in hours, minutes, and seconds to the user. Okay, so once you have finished using your scanner object, do not forget to close your scanner object. So close your scanner object. So that is the solution for this example 5. The next one, we have sample 6. So the question for sample 6 is, okay, you're asked to write a program that will prompt the user to enter 5 test score. Okay, so you can see here there's 5 test score here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, 5 test score. You separate them when you input this 5 test score. You separate them with a space. Yeah, a space. You can also separate with a enter key. All right, that's okay. So these are the 5 test score. You will calculate. Okay, you will calculate the average test score and then display the average test score to the user. So you can see the output here. Average test score is 73.56. That means you must be able to accept this input and then calculate the average. So 5 times here. You see you have 5 inputs. So based on this, right, you can think logically that, yeah, I need to do something that involves repetition. So I need to repeat something. Repeat what? I need to repeat asking user to enter the test score. How many times must I repeat? I need to get 5 test score from the user, right? So again, I can think that logically, I will need my program. We have to need a loop, a repetition loop. We have to repeat 5 times. Each time I repeat the code, I will get the input of the test score from the user. Okay. Then I must also keep track of the counter. How many times has the user input the test score? So that in order for me, you see, for me to calculate the average, you know that mathematically, for you to get the average means is the total number of input, total number of test score that you have input. Yeah. So you total them up, total up all the test score that you have input, divided by the number of test score that you have entered, right? So here, when you total them up, divided by how many? Divided by 5. You need to divide by 5 because you have entered 5 test score. Okay. So by knowing this, okay, logically, you are able to produce or to write your program code. So you can see my program code here. Okay. If you don't use a for loop, yeah, you can. That's why I mentioned to you is using for loop. You see, that's why there are different ways for you to write your program. Okay, so it's not just one way, one particular way, one fixed way. No, we can use another way. So in this method here, I define the 5 variables and also a variable for the average. So I use cin to allow the user to enter the 5 test score that will go into test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, test 5. Yeah. Okay, then I can count the average to compute the average. So add up all of them divided by 5. Then I get this average and I can display out the value in the variable average in 2 decimal place using the fixed and set precision. So to do it in Java, also the same thing. I define all the variables for the test score, test 1 until test 5. And I also define the variable for the average. And then I use the scanner object to get the input value from the user and assign them to all the 5 test score variables. And then to calculate the average is I sum up all the test score and divide by 5. Then after that, I display out the output. So I want to display in 2 decimal places. I make use of a decimal format so that I can format it to 2 decimal places. And then I close my scanner object. So that is for your solution 6. In solution 7, we will prompt the user to key in his or her name and also the number of hours spent to practice programming per day. Then display the name and the number of study hours per week as the sample output. So your output will look like that. How to achieve this? Now here we use the include string. We do an include string because remember you need to use a getLine function. So in order for you to be able to use getLine function, you have to include string. Okay. Then in the getLine function, the first parameter is cin, the second parameter is the variable name. So you'll get the input, the name from the user, let's say Abing or Alian, and the username will be assigned to the variable name. Okay, you'll be assigned to the variable name. And then here we display out the result. Get the number of hours, the study hours from the user, assigned to the variable study hours. Then you display out. Here we says that okay, we want the output to be in 2 decimal place. So once you define this fixed and set precision, okay, so subsequent cout when you display the output, it will be displayed as 2 decimal place. 2 decimal places. So the study hours multiply 7. So that will be shown in 2 decimal places. Okay. Okay, so in 1 week, so 1 week, 7 days. So for each day, you study so many hours. Okay, so the total number of hours you study for programming is study hours multiply 7. So that is your result. Okay, the output that you are going to show to the user. Here we have a system pause, means that the cursor will be here. Just pause it, do nothing. Okay, waiting for you to just simply press any key. Then the program will continue to the return 0. That means your program will terminate. Okay, that's the end, and that's the end of your program. In Java, okay, in Java, how you do it? Also the same thing. In fact, you have seen all this already. Import java.util.scanner, import java.text.decimal format. You know what are their use already. Defining the decimal format object, you also know what is this. We have been doing this since the first example, right? Then you know that for Java program, you must have a public static void. Then inside the bracket, it is string bracket args. This represent args to be an array of string. Then define your scanner object. Okay, the variable name is a string. The variable study hours is a double. And then display the output, enter your name. Here we use next line because it's a string. So we use the scanner object next line method to get the string from the user. Okay, so after the string, which is the username, which is the name of the person, which will then assign to the variable name. And then we display, enter the number of hours you have spent to programming per day, to practice programming per day. Then the number of hours, we know that is a floating, contains decimal number. So we want to assign to the variable study hours, which is defined as a double. So we make use of the next double method from the scanner object. Then you can calculate study hours multiply 7, which is the total number of hours studied per week. Yeah, and display out the result in 2 decimal places. So we make use of the decimal format. So that is for example 7. Our last example, example 8. So in the example 8, you're asked to prompt a user to enter 2 integer values A and B. Perform the division A divided by B and display the output with 2 decimal places. Okay, so this is the sample output. Please enter a number, the user will enter 27, and then please enter another number, the user enter 9, and then you display the result 4.11. In C program, okay, define include the IO stream, include IO manip using namespace std, and then the main function int main. So inside the main function, you define the variable A, which is an integer type, variable B, which is also an integer type. Display the message, please enter a number, and then get the number from the user and assign the input to the variable A. Display the message, please enter another number, get the input from the user and assign to the variable B. And then declare a variable temp, which is a double type. We calculate what is A divided by B. So A divided by B is a double. So we cast it to a double type. Okay, we cast it to a double, and then we can assign to the variable temp. And finally, we display the output in 2 decimal places. So we make use of the fixed and make use of set precision tool. So you know that because you are using set precision, you have to include IO manip. You need to include IO manip because you are using set precision. So we display out the result that is inside the variable temp, and that's the output that we are going to get. Yeah. So for a Java program, also similar. You have seen most of this thing already. Okay. In which the use of the decimal format object, the use of the scanner object, declaring the variable, displaying the output, getting the input from the user, using the scanner object. The method depends on what input you're taking, you're getting from the user. So since you're assigning to an integer variable, you will use the next int method. Okay, so declare the variable temp, which is the data type is double, and then perform the computation A divided by B, cast it to a double type, and then assign to the variable 10. And then finally display out the result using decimal format to format the result in 2 decimal places. And finally, you will close the scanner object. So that is the last example, okay, sample 8. And that is all for this session 2. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Thank you,
That's
teacher.
all.
Yeah, thank you. Lai Jin Singh, right? You have a question? Okay, if no questions from you all, okay, so that's it for this session 2. Thank you very much. Goodbye, class. You all can rewatch the video again, okay, and go back home. You can try to install, okay, the Visual Studio Code program, and then have fun, okay, trying out the programs.
Thank you, teacher. Goodbye.
Okay, bye bye.